So to give you some context about those two people, Andreas, he's a fellow Austrian. He is actually a TV host in Austria, so a TV personality. And also he's a Paralympic swimmer and won medals for Austria, which is kind of like really, really nice. And also, fun fact, in 2014, so that's been quite a while, he was also on stage at TEDxDonauinsel. We will talk about that in a second. Next to him, we have Ryan, who is also a big thing, I would say, because he is actually a TED speaker. So he was invited to Vancouver to give a TED talk as a TED fellow. And he's also from the Philippines and does amazing projects and his mission kind of like is to leave no one behind. So I'm going to talk to you in a second. So both of you have different experiences, especially Andreas, you have a very visible disability as well. And also like with Ryan, the first question that I want to ask you is, what do you think, because you do so many things about that, what do you think people still misunderstand about working with people with disabilities, and what do you think is the biggest obstacle that we face there?
Yeah, I think people don't realize that at some point of our life, we actually experience disability. And we always put disability as like a separate category instead of like an integral part of our human experience. And that's also the biggest barrier that we encounter working in the disability space. This fear of people around disability.
Please.
So basically, 1 in 5 persons has a disability. This is a worldwide statistic, so I can count through the room and I probably would meet someone. This is something that you either have, or the chances are pretty high that probably during life there's an accident, there's something that happens, or someone in your family circle grows old, has some immobilities. So we need a society that is able to service everyone and give chances to everyone, because at some point or another, either you or someone you love will face discrimination and challenges based on disability. So this is why it's so close to our heart to change something so that everyone can have the same chances that we have and that people without disabilities have.
Circling back, both of you were on stage, kind of like, can you summarize for the audience, like in 1 or 2 sentences, because I know, I watched both of your talks, of course, can you summarize for the audience what your mission, especially with being on stage, was back in the day on TEDxDonauinsel or at TED?
Yeah, at TED, we always have this thing called a through line of your talk. And the through line of my talk is about my lived experience around exclusion and how it taught me to actually become a better human being, and how being a person with disability like pushed me to really confront a lot of the things in myself that I'm looking for belonging. But to find belonging, you need to start with healing. You need to start by like getting into your own lived experience and processing what happened in your life so that you don't project it with other people.
That's amazing. So the only thing I remember from my TEDx talk 12 years ago was that I almost wet my pants because I was so nervous. No, but I finished it in the 18 minutes, as Matthias told us. It was the limit back then. I remember that I talked about my lived discrimination experience and also about realizing what is the one thing that drives you, that gives you power and energy to go on. And I think that the title of my talk was Embrace Life with Just One Arm. You can embrace it with 2 arms, no problem, it works as well. But just to see that there is a way, we just need to find a way together, we just need to find opportunities together, and there's no option to give up. So this was basically the title of the TEDx talk back then.
I remember one story that you talked in your talk about, which was kind of like when you're back in school and you had to climb a wall up and you were standing there and you did not know how to climb it. So you kind of like found a way with your teeth or your mouth and then the other hand up. So I think that was really inspiring to find ways.
I do not recommend that. But it was a way, yeah, there's always a way.
Very. Talking about collaboration and of course having strong partners, in Austria we have a different system, a unique model with the MVG, the Monopolverwaltungsgesellschaft in Austria. Why is that important and how are the things doing?
So this is one of the most German words there is. Basically it's the Tobacco Monopoly Administration, and this is an amazing idea. So basically the idea was invented centuries ago. We have to do something with the people coming back from adventures and wars with disabilities. And the opportunity was to let them be the one servicing the monopoly about sales from tobacco, because it was always state managed. And it's an amazing idea. And up to this day, there are over 1,200 persons with disabilities managing the tobacco sales stations, and every new station that is given out to someone else is given out to people with disabilities. And with that, we have a structural way to enable, in a systemic way, entrepreneurship for people with disabilities. And this is amazing because you're not some social project, you're not dependent on others to fulfill their quotas and like find a way to put you in the picture and you're one of hundreds, but nobody cares. You're a manager of your store. You have to manage your input, your clients, what you sell, and it's a business. And this is the way. We need to put tools into people's hands to be able to be part of our society, and our society is also the economic framework which we move in, and with that have guaranteed income. And with that, be able to contribute to society. And I always like to say that inclusion is nice to partake, it's nice to be where everyone else is, but it's better to be able to contribute with your talents, with the things that you have, and having the chances to be able to do that. I think this is something that sports, media, the things that I try to represent, I think those are the ways to be able to bring lasting change in our society, how we view people with disabilities. And this model is something that just works perfectly, and I think Europe and the whole world should copy it from us. Copy-paste, just do it. With that, we can bring a lot of people into employment.
Yes, because it's also, from what I know, the only country in the world who has this model kind of like for people with disabilities.
We are doing something right in Austria. I like that.
Perfect. So Ryan, coming back to tools, now especially I imagine after your TED Talk, a lot of people reached out to you and I got probably a lot of messages on social media. Do you think that social media is kind of like helping the cause, or do you think we face new challenges, especially in creating a more disability-friendly future?
That's tricky because there's a wide misunderstanding around the lived experience of persons with disability, and in social media you only get the highlights and the reels of it's inspiring, it's not a balanced storytelling, and the algorithm is by default ableist in that sense. So it's very tricky, and that's why spaces like this are very important, and it allows us to dive into the lived experiences of people without the filters of our own biases and our own preconceived notion around the topic. So I encourage you, if you want to learn how to become a better human being in a way, per se, talk to someone with disability and just ask them, tell me more.
Good answer. Good answer. So going back, because we have a break a little bit later on, question to both of you. What is one small thing that everybody in this audience can take away or do when they leave this auditorium at the end of the day? What can they take away? What would be your advice?
Give chances, the same that you would give it to other people as well. Don't make any difference. I remember that one of my first competition against people without disabilities, I was swimming and I got disqualified, and it's always frustrating to get disqualified, but I went to the referee and asked him, why did you disqualify me? And he told me that I touched the wall with just one arm. No shit. The rules in Austria, and of course for breaststroke, say that you have to touch the wall simultaneously with both arms at the right time, which of course I cannot do. And we know in Austria, rules are rules. Yeah, Vorschrift is the German expression for that. But the problem wasn't that he disqualified me. Okay, yeah, his interpretation was that I cannot fulfill the rules. The problem was his way of thinking, and this is something that you can influence. Later, I heard about in a meeting that he was telling the disabled should stay with the disabled. They're taking our people's place away. And it was the first time, my first lived experience of systemic discrimination, where I realized, okay, people are really thinking like them and us, the disabled, and us non-disabled. Shouldn't we love sports and love swimming in circle, and who's faster should be there, and we find a way to accommodate a way how I can touch the wall and do not get disqualified? So this is the thing that you can do. Influence the way of thinking to not have buckets like them, the disabled, and us. And we're not taking away anything from anyone. We just want to contribute with our talents. And there were people who gave me the chance to contribute, and later on I won the B final at the Austrian National Championships against people without disabilities. So I was the 9th fastest against them. Thank you. Some of them quit their careers after I beat them. But I got the chance, and I was able to contribute. And Austria won 12 medals at international competitions through me, because I was able to put in my talent. So give chances, do not think in buckets, and try to influence everyone to see that we are people, and every one of us has the right to partake in our society.
Thank you so much, Andreas.
Inclusion by design starts by us confronting exclusion in the very first place. And we have a lot of frameworks. We are innovators here. We build solutions for the world. We influence the world one way or another. But one thing we don't explicitly do is that when we look at this design, we don't ask ourselves the question, like, who will be excluded with this solution? What will be the unintended consequences of this? And because we don't ask these fundamental questions, we end up like having such a good, beautiful dream of a good future, and then we arrive at that future and see like, oh wow, we missed out on something really, really big. So if there's one thing that I can partake with you is like, in everything that you do, you don't need to solve it right away, but like ask yourself, who is being excluded here? What will be the unintended consequences of this?
Amazing, thank you so much. Collaboration and community is always key. I really liked what you said about not putting people into buckets, and it's also like with TEDx, we wouldn't be anything without the community that we have from the people, the speaker, everybody that we have. Thank you so far. That's everything from us. Thank you so much.